Hello, Connor. How's it going?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Doing really well. And in today's video, Connor, I would like to ask you questions about American lifestyle and culture. So,
Okay.
my first question to you is, what's your take on American dream?
Um, I feel like the American dream has kind of changed throughout the years. Like originally, it was um the white picket fence, the 2.5 kids um on average per family, and then, like the wife would stay home and the husband would go to work and come home, and it was just kind of like that image of classic Hollywood, what we call the apple pie life. Anymore, I think it really varies on who you talk to and what each person values. Most people are looking for just like a sense of fulfillment in life anymore. And so that I think that's why it varies so much.
Okay. And as you mentioned Hollywood in your statement, when it comes to that, speaking of Hollywood, I'm fond of American culture. Like I'm obsessed with it, and I've never been to America. So, whatsoever knowledge that I have about America, those things are from movies and series. So,
Okay.
like how true is it? Is it the reality that we often see?
Um, it is very highly stereotyped. And
Hmm.
so, um, oh, what would a good example be? Accents. Accents are a really good example of stereotypes. So, um, if you watch a movie that's like a historical fiction that takes place in the South around the time of the Civil War, you'll see that there are different types of Southern accents that are cast for each role. And in reality, you might be in that state and hear somebody with an accent that you recognize from a Hollywood movie that doesn't behave in the way that accent is shown makes you believe that all those people think.
And speaking of accent, like when I was learning English language, I used to watch this highly famous series that is known as Friends. And
Uh-huh.
most of the people, I guess, in India, they are also, fond of watching this series, Friends, and the other one, like How I Met Your Mother, then Two and a Half Men. These are some popular series. So, how
Uh,
relevant these series are with actual American lifestyle?
so those series are very, very popular with certain age groups. I know in my age group, the series Friends is still extremely popular. Um, I don't know as I would call it an accurate portrayal of
Hmm.
American life. It's very highly dramatized because, it's not fun to watch somebody live their day-to-day life. You need some drama, something interesting to keep your attention. So they just dramatize it.
Okay, makes sense. And like, what is the misconception that people from outside of America have about America? Like one misconception.
Um, I think that the biggest misconception that I have run into is when I talk to individuals from Europe, especially, there's an assumption that Americans are not well traveled because we don't tend to leave the United States very often. Um, but in reality, our states are so different in the way that they're run, their geography, the laws that are in each state, and then even just culturally, they can be very different. It's almost like traveling to a different country. And so we are well traveled. It's just that we're well traveled within the United States. It can be just as rich as traveling overseas to experience other cultures that's not always accessible to everybody, but when you don't have to have a passport or get on a plane to go to the next state to experience something new, that makes traveling more accessible to more people.
Interesting. And like, what are the things that you like about America, and what are the things that you dislike about it?
Um, well, I think that one of the things that I value most, especially living in the state I live in, is that we have a lot of autonomy and personal freedoms that aren't afforded in other parts of the world. Um, and so I think that's also why we get a reputation for being loud and boisterous, because we're used to being allowed to voice our opinion and not having severe repercussions for disagreeing with the common consensus. Um, and so I personally have really enjoyed that. One of the things that has been a little troubling recently is that there's been such a significant political divide in our country. Um, Hopefully, we'll find a way to be able to speak civilly with each other in the near future, and so these things can be resolved. But I think those are kind of the two big things.
Okay. And if may I ask you, like on a scale of 1 to 10, uh, how many numbers would you like to rate to your life in America?
Well, I mean, personally, I'm very happy with where my family is at, um, in pretty much every sense of how we live our lives. I know that living in a small town isn't for everybody. I like the slower pace of life. I don't feel the need to constantly be going out, and I'm not a party person. I don't like to hit the clubs or go out to the movies all the time with streaming services. It's just a lot more comfortable to sit at home and watch the movie. Um, but I know that in some instances, you could say that there are things that, if physical comfort is your main priority, um, the Panhandle probably isn't exactly where you would want to live, but I love it.
Okay. And how would you differ it, like the lifestyle of urban America and the rural America?
So the in the city, um, it's just a lot faster. There's a lot more people. It's probably more like what you're used to shoulder, small spaces. There's always something to do. Your living space is small because the whole city is basically your living room. That's where you go for entertainment. Where I live, where it's rural, the properties tend to be a little bit bigger because, there aren't as many places to go to do things. And so we have people come over to our houses and we entertain within our living space. I think that would be one of the biggest differences. We don't have um, public transportation in the same way that cities do either. Everybody drives around here. If you don't have a car, it's really hard to get anywhere.
Okay. And like in your previous statement, you mentioned about political issues. So how does it affect your life?
You know, it hasn't really had a large impact on me personally. I choose to stay out of kind of that part of life. I don't feel the need to be in the spotlight, nor desire to be internet famous or to have everybody watching everything I do. So we just we engage as far as voting. Um, but like political rallies, marches, that kind of thing, we tend to disengage from that.
So I guess what I comprehend from your answer is you prefer solitude over like social media fame and all those things. You like to be yourself.
Right. I typically average about 3 hours of social media a week.
Mm.
So it's pretty limited. And I used to be on social media a lot, but I found that once I disengaged and kind of unplugged, I was a lot happier.
Okay, great. And like as you are fond of learning Romanian language, so like why do you want to learn that particular language?
Um, Honestly, I was just listening to music and a song with Romanian came on the radio. And so, I pulled up my little music analyzer app on my phone. So I was like, oh, what is that? That sounds gorgeous. I love it. And it popped up and it had a feature from a Romanian artist. And so I started looking into the language more. And it's just, it's so beautiful to listen to. And um, I just kind of fell in love with it.
Interesting. And on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, you are also an avid reader. You like to read books, right?
Yes,
So
that's
like,
correct.
in today's world, most of the people have forgotten the habit of reading actual books. So what would you like to tell to those people? Like, what is the significance of reading actual books?
There's just something special about the way that it feels to hold something physically in your hands. Um, when you walk into a library, our library is very old. Um, and I kind of love it because it has that old book smell to it. Um, and then you don't have to worry about the battery running out on your book. Um, if you need to go somewhere, you can take your book with you and you don't have to have an internet connection or, um, you know, worry about what else is going on your phone or your Kindle or tablet or whatever it is electronically that you're reading on that could distract you away. It's just a more immersive experience, in my opinion, if you're reading from an actual book.
Um, and like before we end our conversation, what is the life advice that you would like to give to the people who are watching this video?
Oh, life advice. You know, in the few years that I've been able to experience on this earth, I think that the most important thing that I've learned is to always look for the truth, even if it's uncomfortable, even if I don't like what the truth is. A hard truth is always better than a comfortable lie. And so that would be my advice. Find the hard truth and accept that even if it's not what you like, that is the truth.
Uh, well, Connor, I won't bother you with any more questions. Thank you for giving all the answers in a meticulous manner. And it was really nice having a conversation with you.
It was wonderful to have a conversation with you too. Feel free to call me back anytime.
Sure.